Hey friends, I know what you're thinking. Is he going to be able to wear a new jacket or hoodie every single video he does on every single Friday? Well, the simple fact of the matter is, I don't have kids, so I spend my money on four things: jackets, shoes, food, and comics. Welcome, I'm the comics teacher. So I have a lot to cover today, so I'm only going to do 4 real reviews today, but they're deep and there's a lot of stuff going on for your classroom this week, so I hope you enjoy this video. The first thing I want to say is, we lost a powerhouse in the civil rights movement this week with Representative Congressman John Lewis passing away. Huge loss. John Lewis was the last person living that spoke when Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech. This series, if you have not read it, March is kind of iconic. It is canonical in the graphic novel world. Schools all over the country have class sets of it. There are 3 books in the March series. They are fantastic. I got to listen to John Lewis and Andrew Aydin speak at Evanston Township High School a couple years ago with some of my friends, and it was just an unforgettable night. I got to meet him and have my picture taken with him. I love the books. I love everything he stood for, stands for. It's a huge loss. But his legacy is survived by many, many things, including this fantastic graphic novel series. Now, if you go to theothercomicbookteacher.com, which is my website, March and search March, I have a bunch of years ago, I wrote a review about this book, which includes a couple links to extensive lesson plans done by me and other folks that I know. So if you are looking to teach this book, which I highly recommend, I've taught this book multiple times. It goes over well every time. Nate Powell's art in this book is just fantastic. It is a keeper, even if you just keep it for yourself. If you haven't read this series, do yourself a favor and pick up March books 1, 2, and 3 and read them, teach them. Check out theothercomicbookteacher.com. Congressman John Lewis will be greatly missed. I hope you can remember his legacy by enjoying these books over and over again. Okay, next for your classroom. Although March is for your classroom, this was the nonfiction book that I was bringing you this week. But like I said, we got a lot of great classroom books today. This one I'm going to show you, this is the Jungle Book. This is the Manga Classics adaptation of the Jungle Book. If you don't know Manga Classics does a ton of manga versions of classic works of literature. I wrote a few down here so I wouldn't forget them. They've done works like Great Expectations. They've done Jane Eyre, Hamlet, Macbeth, Scarlet Letter, Les Miserables. They've done a ton. And if you go to mangaclassics.com, you'll be able to see all the books that they do offer. It is read like a manga book, so kind of back to front. If you haven't read manga, you're going to have to get used to it. But I guarantee you your students have. If you have students that are into comics, they are going to love these. I was honestly very pleasantly surprised by how much my students took to the Manga Classics. They didn't know that some of these books were classics and they just kind of wanted to read manga. So I'm like, check out this book called Great Expectations, and they were wanting more of those. So if you are interested in checking out, I get questions all the time like, what are good classic adaptations of classic works of literature? And they're not all great, right? They're not all great. I talked about that a little bit when I was discussing Beowulf in my first video. These manga classics are actually really good. And even the Shakespeare doesn't cut a lot out at all. I think the Hamlet one is actually word for word. So that's a lot. I think it's like 450 pages. I may be exaggerating, but I don't think I am. So these are extensive and they are fantastic. That is mangaclassics.com to check out all of the titles that they have to offer. I've actually helped Manga Classics at a booth before because I believe in their books wholeheartedly. I've spoken on panels about them. This is a great company that's creating great versions of classic literature as comics. Okay. Released this week. There was actually, I know last week I said there wasn't a lot of good comics that came out last week. I wasn't too impressed. This week there was actually quite a few things. And if you follow me on Instagram, I do comics teacher quick takes throughout the week. I'm going to be reviewing a couple. They're like a minute long. So follow me on Instagram at comics_teacher. And I'm going to be doing a couple quick takes for other titles that came out this week. I want to focus on Yasmeen. Yasmeen is a book by Scout Comics. #1 this week. It is by Saif Ahmad and Fabiana Mascolo. It is a book about an Iraqi teenage girl, and it covers 2 spans of her life. When she's 16 in Iraq, and then when she's 18, kind of moving to the States. But in there, she gets captured by ISIS and becomes a slave for 2 years. So this book is very much like, it reads like nonfiction, right? It is first issue. I've only read the first issue. It's not very fantastical. It's very real life. There's very real situations and violence, but it is also really, really well done. And you know what? I like to keep books of all different varieties because representation matters, ladies and gentlemen. If you work in a diverse community, or even if you don't, it's a great idea to put multicultural books on your bookshelf to give students a taste of different lives. So, you know, we all experience different things. And this is one of those fantastic comics that I think you're going to really enjoy. It's very honest, very real. And yes, representation does matter. So diversify that classroom and library bookshelf. Okay. The ongoing series this week is one that I picked up. I'm in a Finer Things Club. Me and a few of my friends, every couple of weeks, we get together and we discuss like a movie, a TV show, a comic. I don't know if I ever mentioned that to you, taken from The Office Finer Things Club. But this was one that was on the Finer Things Club today that was brought to us by Mr. Rano Whitaker. And you can find him at Mr. Whitaker on social media. He is thecomicbookteacher.com website. I'm the other comicbookteacher.com. It's called On the Stump. This is an Image Comics title by Chuck Brown, art by Prenzy. This is a really cool satirical book set in a world where congressmen fight on a stump at the National Mall to determine whose legislature gets put up for vote or not. And there's a lot of lobbyists. It is ultra violent. This book is not for your classroom. This book is for you, okay? Ongoing series for you. If you are into kind of like politics and enjoy satire, you will dig this book. At the end of every issue, there are cool essays, like short too, not the back matter of this book has an essay in every issue. And the third one is primarily about like the religious undertones in the story. They're great. You know, they're written by scholars, really cool essays in the back of the book. I'm bummed to tell you that there are only going to be five on the Stump books. I was really hoping this would be a series that would develop itself and kind of play on politics throughout and ongoing and change and move with the times, but it's not. It's only going to be five issues and then done. Hopefully, maybe it comes back in the future, but there's 3 out right now. Get on board. I think the next one comes out in August, and then you have September probably for the finish there. The last thing I want to say to you today is this week, Middle West issue 18 did come out. I reviewed Middle West. This is done now. So if you go to a comic book shops, you can collect the issues. The first 2 trades are out. I'm sure the third one will be coming out soon now that the 18th issue is done and the story is complete. I was very happy with the ending. I like it. This is a nice little story. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful art. You should check out Middle West if you have not. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to thank you again for watching this week. Oh, I did not get a chance to pull the winner of the Sabrina and Willow comics yet. I'm going to do that tonight, and I'm going to post that on my Twitter account at comics_teacher. So if you did get into that giveaway, good luck to you. Once again, the ongoing series is On the Stump from Image Comics. Check that out if you like politics and violence. Very ultra violent book. The issue that came out this week is Yasmeen from Scout Comics. Check this one out. For your classroom, we have the Manga Comics series of all these wonderful books. Go to mangaclassics.com. And then finally, the nonfiction book was Congressman John Lewis, Andrew Aydin, and Nate Powell series March. Fantastic nonfiction telling of the life and times of John Lewis. Huge loss this week with John Lewis. Very sad. Pick up this book. Remember his legacy. Have a great week, everybody. Comics Teacher, out.